live this time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, yeah, we are happening this time. To people that tuned in at 9 o'clock Australian time, my apologies. We had a few little technical issues on my side of things. And a huge thank you to Adrian for being really patient, because it's like it was 7 o'clock over there in New York State. So it is my absolute pleasure to introduce you to this absolute rock star of the track and field world over there in the US. He came from incredibly humble beginnings, which he's going to tell us about in a moment, to become this high school absolute amazing athlete, to he's going to tell us all the details because I'm not necessarily going to get them right, to becoming an Olympian, to actually becoming the head track and field coach, I believe, for the US Virgin Islands Olympic team, to becoming the youngest ever track and field coach of a uni team in the whole of the USA, and to creating amazing results with those teams, by the way, in his first year. So without any further ado, please welcome, drum roll please, this amazingly talented man, Adrian Durant. Adrian, welcome to the In Again Winning TV.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And you're flattering me here. I'm blushing because, yeah, that was a wonderful intro. Appreciate it.
It's all true. It's all true.
I think they have to verify whether I was the youngest. When I became head coach at Cornell at 30, and I don't know of any other 30-year-old Division I head coaches at the time. And I also got head coach of the year that year. So I don't know if there's a real way to verify that, but pretty sure.
And I think you might have been head coach twice, head coach of the year twice.
Yep. My first year and the following year. That's right.
Yeah. Pretty damn impressive. Hello.
Yeah, I need some more.
So tell me about, because I did mention in my introducing you that you did come from quite humble beginnings. And as I mentioned in our take one, which we were having some technical difficulties, we also have a little bit of something in common in that we're both adopted souls. And
yes.
You mentioned in there that it was at a really young age that you discovered your passion and your talent for track, and you had this vision. You had a vision at a really, really young age to become an Olympian. Tell me about that.
Yes. I feel like, I was just essentially beating people. When I started running track, I found out that I was fast, and I started winning ribbons and medals. And every time we had an assembly at school, they would announce, the person who won this race or that race, and they say the 55, Adrian Durant, and so it was a source of pride for me. And I think when you're a young kid, it's important to find something that you're good at, that you can gain competency in, and that way you can kind of build self-esteem. And that's how young kids really start setting goals, when they start seeing that this thing that they're good at is gaining them some acknowledgement, and that it creates a path and opportunities for them. When I was running, we were able to go to track meets in St. Kitts and St. Vincent. And so it was like, wow, I get to leave St. Croix and get on a plane and go to this other island. And, this island where their money is a funny shape, and it's ours is worth way more. And it was just like, it was just an experience running with these kids on the grass track. And it was like, I helped me appreciate what I had, because I didn't have to train on the grass track. We at least had gravel. But I saw that, I can travel with it. And so just watching track on TV, you would see the Olympics and whatnot. And I started saying, okay, well, that's my goal. I want to get to the Olympics and run in, the Olympic Games. It's that big thing in the stadium, and, they carry the torch. It's just, I think everybody who starts playing a sport young wants to go to the Olympics. So that was my goal. And so my mother and my grandmother, I think they took my goal seriously. And so they wanted to put me in the position to be able to accomplish that goal.
Wow. And was there one particular person that was like your inspiration at that really young age, or was it the Olympics per se?
Inspiration? No. I mean, there were track athletes that I followed that I liked, but at the time, no. I was still on St. Croix, and so track wasn't huge there. And we had the same TV stations, but things could be a little different. I just never track wasn't even on TV like that. The Olympics were, but track wasn't really as common. And so, at some point, Michael Johnson was a track athlete that I really looked up to, and Maurice Green, Marion Jones at the time. But not really. I would say that if anything, it was just because I was getting good at it, and my mother made sacrifices so that I could be good at it. She made sure I was at practice every day, and I never missed track practice. And she supported me and encouraged me and motivated me because I was a very impatient kid and I wanted quick results. So my mom put a lot into my me being my development as an athlete. Absolutely. So I wouldn't say it was a track athlete that motivated more than my mother kind of facilitated me to be able to pursue this dream. She was behind me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then fast forward, this was like you started winning things at like 5 or 6?
So I started I started running track in second grade, growing up on St. Croix. How old are you in second grade? I don't know. In 8th grade, you're like 13. So yeah, so somewhere in there, 6 years old. Yeah, 6 or 7. It would be roughly. And I went to a Catholic school, St. Mary's, and we had gym and we had after school program, luckily, and so there was an interscholastic league, and we got to compete against the other middle schools and elementary schools. And like I said, I started winning ribbons and medals. At least in my age group, I was competitive, and at some point, I was beating everyone, and I took it so seriously. I became kind of known for that. Like, by the time I'm in 5th or 6th grade, it's like I'm known for being fast and being the fastest in my school, and track and winning all the youth stuff in the island. And essentially, by the time I was in 7th grade, I was winning everything. All the meets that we had on St. Croix, I was essentially winning all the races that I ran. From the 100 to the 400 to the 800, I was essentially winning everything. And so at that point, it was like, okay, how can my career progress from here? It's very limited opportunity. And that's when my mother and my grandmother decided to send me to New Jersey to live with my aunt and uncle. And so, yeah, so they that was just to give me the opportunity to continue pursuing my dream.
And so then you did high school there and then went to college?
Yes, I did high school in New Jersey, which was a big transition, moving from the islands to New Jersey, where it gets pretty cold. There's snow. Moving into a high school where I didn't really know people, and it was kind of tough adjusting. And then from there, at some point, I played sports, and I always tell people, sports, they're like the great equalizer. Like, I went to high school in a place that, it was a tough adjustment, but because I played soccer, I joined the soccer team, and, I had friends. And then when track season came around, joined the track team, made more friends, started getting good. Like, I became known as the freshman who's on varsity. And so started building my reputation up, and now it's like, okay, now I can start going after this goal again. And so in New Jersey, the area that I lived in, I got to the point where I was one of the top athletes in the county, Bergen County. And I was starting to get to that state level. But I had injuries. Some caused by my own poor decisions while in high school. And because of those injuries, I had not run fast enough to earn a scholarship. I had good academics, so I could get into schools, but we didn't have any money for college. And so I was at a point where it was like, okay, maybe I'll just run track and not go to college. And my grandfather, my mother were like, no, you're out of your mind. You're going to college. You are going to college. And so I had applied to and got into the University of South Carolina, and my grandfather, had a little bit of money, a couple $1,000s, and my mom took out a loan, and I had a loan as well, and pretty much I walked on to the college program at University of South Carolina.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you started competing for them.
So I walked onto the program, and at the time they were really good. The women were the national championship team. The men, I believe, were fourth in the nation. Their 4x4 was the national championship 4x4 relay. They had a lot of superstars on their team, and I joined the team with the hopes of earning a full scholarship, which to a lot of folks at the time was kind of laughable. Like, you're going to join one of the best teams in the country and earn a full scholarship. But yeah, that was my plan. And so I went to South Carolina, and I remember the first day of practice, because it was like I was this little skinny guy and I didn't know anybody, and it was all these big, tall athletes, and they looked so fast and so muscular. And I just, I went to practice every day with the goal of earning that scholarship. And I'm not going to act like I was a college kid. It wasn't perfect. I messed up. But when I messed up, I learned from my mistakes. I remember a time where all of us missed practice one day and coach suspended us. And I remember coach brought me into his office and he said, "Hey, you don't have any money. Your mom don't have any money. If you don't earn a scholarship, you're gone next year." And I thought about it. I was like, "Dad, I'll be out of college if I don't earn a scholarship from this team." And so every opportunity I had in training, there were some guys who were pretty good. They were full scholarship guys. And there were these other guys who were really, really good, like high level national championship caliber guys. And so I would just go train with them all the time, and they would wipe the floor with me every day. They just completely wiped the floor with me. But I started getting better and closer and closer and closer. And getting close to those guys made me way better than everyone else on the team. And so I got to the point where my times just kept dropping and dropping and dropping, to where I was put in the position to be on the relay, the 4x4 relay at the SEC championship, which is, that's the big, anyone who knows track and field knows the SEC championship. And as a walk-on, I was able to lead off the relay. They were the defending national champions. The defending national champions, SEC champions. I was able to lead off the relay as a freshman with a big baggy speed suit, because I was a walk-on. So they just, here you go, walk-on. Here's an extra large. And I was able to lead off that relay, and we won. And so I became an SEC champion. And then I ran some more races, and my 100 time dropped and my 200 time dropped. I ended up being top 10 freshman in the country. And then I was able to represent the Virgin Islands at some high level meets, Carifta games, where I raced Usain Bolt. All of that was in that same year. And after a year like that, I was in a position to say, "Hey, I need a scholarship, or I can go somewhere else." And that's kind of how it went.
And it really reinforces what I am constantly saying to clients that I work with, and everybody that I speak to. Who we hang out with, we become. You hung out with the people you wanted to become.
Mm-hmm. Steel sharpens steel.
Yeah, they say that we are the sum of the 5 people we spend our most time with. And you got real clear on, okay, these are the people that I want to aspire to being as good as. And then there you go. Amazing.
Yeah. And it's not to say the other guys weren't good, but it's a different motivation. You had some guys who really wanted to be on a different level, and I never looked at them as being better than me. I just thought, they're running faster than me. They've had different opportunities, but now that I'm here, I'm going to put it to the test, and I'm going to see how good they really are. And they were good, and I never did beat them, but where I ended up was someplace great.
Yeah, and that was your intention, was to get that scholarship, and you got it. So I want to talk to you about the rituals that you had, because we all have rituals, whether we're a dancer or an athlete getting ready for an event. what were your rituals when you were competing? And what do you suggest? Because now you're training elite athletes. So what do you suggest for them in their rituals, either pre the event, leading up to races, and then on the day? Because I think that,
Well, I like to.
the work you put in, the physical effort, rituals play such an important part.
Yeah, and I like stuff like this. I like to give information that's transferable. I don't want it to be just about sports. I want people to understand that this is life in general. And so whatever it is you're preparing for, whether it's running 100 meters at a major track meet, or being a keynote speaker at an event, or whatever it is, going into a job interview, preparation is key, of course. But one thing I emphasize is visualization, running through it in your mind. If it's a race, I can run the whole race 10 times before the race. Just kind of go through it, closing my eyes, hearing the sounds, sound of starting pistol, the rhythm of my arm swinging, setting up the race, knowing how I'm going to feel at a certain point in the race and how I need to respond to that. You just run through these things in your head, and I coach that. It's an effective strategy. And whatever you're doing, if you're rehearsing it and you go through it and you can see it and you experience it, it's practice. It's practice. And at the end of the day, rule number one, don't panic. Rule number two, do what you did in practice.
You must be reading my little sheet here of what I was going to say, because I don't know, it's written in green, so you probably can't see, but I was going to ask you about visualizing.
Visualization big is key.
And what I loved about you explaining how you visualize was you were talking about the different senses, because you were talking about hearing the gun go off, but you're also talking about the kinesthetic. So you're talking about the auditory, you're talking about the kinesthetics of feeling what your arms are doing, etc. And this is where, honestly, Adrian, so many sports coaches don't get this.
Absolutely.
They ask their client, they ask their players or their the people they're coaching, and it's the same with anything in life, as we're saying. Pardon me, this is life skills 101. It doesn't matter what you're preparing for.
Exactly.
As we said, I do this before I go on stage as well. When I'm doing keynotes, trainings, whatever, people don't visualize the same way. And so I always, when people do the Inner Game of Winning workshop with me, they work out what style of learner they are. Because people say, oh, well, I've tried visualizing and I get a fuzzy picture, and I go, that's okay. You're not primarily visual. You're probably auditory or kinesthetic. You're going to get a fuzzy picture, but you can really, really fine tune those skills. And I'll give them techniques to fine tune their visual skills. But what are you hearing? What are you seeing? What are you feeling? And what are you saying to yourself inside of your head? What, this, all of the other things, what's the taste of success? What are the smells? All those senses, because as tiny babies, we are so sensory. We're totally sensory beings. We're putting mud in our mouths. We're doing all these different things. We're very tactile. And unfortunately, a lot of coaches and dance teachers don't understand, and they say, oh, visualize. And then the ones that are highly visual get it, and the ones that are not highly visual think, oh, well, I just tried. I've coached a lot of basketball players, right? And the ones that are visual go, oh yeah, I'm going to visualize my free throw, and it goes in. And then the others are going, well, I'm not really seeing it clearly. I'm going, that's okay, because you're going to do it in your preferred learning style. And so I loved when you were talking about how you visualize. You mentioned highly auditory and highly kinesthetic things. And I'm guessing based on your physiology, because there's a physiology that goes with the learning styles as well, that's probably your first two. We are all of them, but it's like, the key to the car, something that jumpstarts the car. So you may well be auditory followed by kinesthetic followed by visual or auditory digital. Do you know what yours are?
No, but I could tell you what I think is just off the top of my head, what would be more important to me. What's
Yes.
more, it's not important to have to see it per se. You know, I can do it. Maybe I can barely make out the lines on the track, but it's the experience of running a race. I know how it feels to run a race, so I can put myself there, and I could, you know, yes, you can hear the gun. You can, if you practice it enough, and some of it is rehearsal. You practice it enough, and you can get really close to how you would feel in that scenario and what you should be doing. And you know, it's good because you can slow things down. And my best races, things felt slowed down. And you look on tape, you're like, whoa, that was fast, but everything felt slow. So in visualization, you can go through your paces and slow everything down, the arm swing, and just, you can really go through it. So, yeah, for me, seeing is, my eyes are closed when I'm doing this exercise for the most part. So it's whatever it's a vague image, but I know what it represents. But I'm mainly going by how my body feels going through what I'm supposed to go through. And that's because I'm running. Now, if I'm visualizing something else, you know, if I'm on stage, maybe I'm going through the words, but I'm also going through the motions of how I'm communicating on the stage. To feel comfortable, you know, so maybe I'm not, you know, I want to be comfortable on stage, so I'm working it out. How am I going to talk? And the points, I talk with my hands a lot, so yeah. I think you can apply it in a lot of ways. I think practicing is really the way to go about it. Just trying it and being patient about it. It's not a magic. This isn't magic. It's learning your body and just learning more about just how to really, I don't know. I think connect to that internal stuff. You know, I think a lot of times, and I don't know if I'm going off topic, but it's like when we coach, there's so many variables to performance, and some of it isn't quantifiable. And that could be hard for folks who are purely academic. You know, they're looking for numbers and hard, concrete things that make sense. And sometimes, you know, willpower and heart and focus, these things, you can't put a number to it, but they're real things, and they have impact.
Yes, yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. So obviously you have to turn up, you have to do the physical work to absolutely hone your skills, your physical skills. How much do you believe, if you had to put a percentage to this, how much percentage would you put to the physical skills and the inner skills, the inner game, basically, the visualizing, the rituals, the preparation, all those sorts of things?
It's relative, because at a certain point, if we talk sports, let's talk track. Everybody at the USA Championship is talented physically.
Exactly.
Every single one of them, everyone who runs 10 flat and faster, power cleans, squats, does speed work, does core work, they go to a physio, they hydrate, they all do that. Yes, you know, everyone is going to have their own physical limitations and their own ceiling. So there is a difference there. But for the most part, if you pay attention, you can see some folks who are consistent performers, some folks who are consistent overperformers, and some folks who are consistent underperformers, regardless of their personal best, you know, whatever performances they have. And so you're like, okay, so why is it that this person can run, you know, a 9.8, 9.7, but they never win when it counts? They can do it in a race when someone's running 10.3, but when it counts, why is it that they can't execute? And so when you get to that high level, when you're all on the line and everyone's PR is 9.8, you know, it's going to be the person who can get there and execute the best race plan, not let the people around them affect their race. You know, and they have to believe that they're supposed to win and they belong there. There's a lot. The confidence has to be there. The trust in the plan, the game plan that you have with your coach, everything. It has to be there mentally. You know, you're not just going to go out there at the high level and brute force it. You're going to lose. Absolutely. I don't care how strong you are, you're going to lose.
Yeah. And that's the thing that I find. I have a very low battery. I will be back in one moment. I want you to have a chat to everybody about the difference between someone that has absolute natural talent and somebody that doesn't have the total natural talent, but the determination to win? Because I've just realized I need to plug my laptop in.
No problem. I can talk about this to all of you. So the thing is that there really are a lot of folks who are talented physically. You'll be surprised at how many people have talent. Natural talent is only going to get you so far, because at a certain point, everyone is talented. You get to a certain point in anything that you do in life, whether it's being a track and field athlete, basketball player, whether, if you're an attorney, whatever it is, when you get to a certain level in your career, everyone that you're competing against, all of your peers, are talented, and they wouldn't have gotten there without that talent. In sports, is even more obvious, because you have to have the time. It's not like a corporation where somebody, uncle can give you a job and you're still going to fail at that job, but you at least have the opportunity. In track, if the time isn't there, you're not going to get the chance. You're not going to get the meets. You're not going to make it to wherever. It's just not going to happen. What's that?
Don't tell me.
What?
Did we stop going live?
No, we're still live. We're good.
Oh, good.
Yes, and so
I just started saying 2 minutes, and I was my laptop was going to die.
You're good. And so you have talent, but talent will only get you so far. So maybe it's not within my capability to run 19.8. Maybe 19.9 is me at my 100% best training, physio, yada yada. And let's say your capability is you have a 19.5 in the tank, but you only sleep 6 hours a night. You're getting paid some money, so you go out drinking. I don't do any of that. I stay hydrated. You think, after practice, you don't really feel like cooling down and stretching. You got some stuff to do tonight. You got someplace to go. So you're just gonna, I ain't gonna worry about that stretching. So now you start getting some knots in your hamstring. Maybe you don't, just whatever it is, because you're so good, you may not be as disciplined, because you have always in life been able to fall back on how good you are. And you've been able to coast by, but that will get to a wall where you won't be able to overcome the folks who are just as talented as you, but work a lot harder. And so hard work is just a part of it, period. I know people feel like that stuff is cliche. And yes, you do need to understand what hard work is. Hard work isn't 2 times a day, 7 days a week. That's not hard work. That's working stupid. Hard work is doing the stuff that you're supposed to do and doing it the right way, but being extra focused and committing and putting all your effort into it. It's hard because it's easy to do things at 90%. So that's what I mean by hard work, not working crazy.
Yeah. And you talk about, you were doing a Facebook live, I think recently, about, was it called extrinsic motivation?
Yes. Yep. That's right.
About that. Yeah.
And so when I'm talking to athletes, and they say they want to be good. I feel like before you can even set your goals, we need to understand why you want to be good, because that matters. That matters, because a weak motivation is not going to help you overcome the hard times. You need a very strong motivation for that. And so if I'm in high school and I'm winning all the time, my motivation it could just be, I like, winning and them taking pictures of me because I look good in my tights. So that's my motivation. I want to get good articles. I like winning, but I like the pictures. It's nice. I get to put it on Instagram. Yeah. And if I'm beating people in high school, cool. But I get that scholarship and I go to LSU or wherever I go, and there's straight beasts here. What I have to do to get those pictures, I'm not going to want to do. The 450s and the waking up and the sleds and all the throwing up. You're going to be like, why am I doing this again? And it's not going to hold up. Versus, doing it because you really have something invested, like it's a part of you. The extrinsic goals, they're good to identify, because I think we focus a lot on, kind of what you want in here inside. but not a lot on the stuff that's pretty practical. The factors outside that make you want to pursue this goal. It could be money. It could be status. I know a lot of folks want to run fast because of money, because they come from poor backgrounds. Track is a sport. You don't need much to do. You need 2 feet and maybe, and like you don't need shoes. Folks are running on grass tracks. It's you don't need a lot. You don't have to buy expensive equipment. So it provides an opportunity for a lot of people to find a pathway. And so because of that, a lot of folks are running because they want to pay some bills. They want to make money. That's not a bad goal. You really can't judge any goal, any motivation, if it's effective. So some people, the outside motivation is money, or fame or recognition. Some is, wanting their parents to be proud. They want to. I find that running track because of your parents, you're doing it just because your parents are proud of you for doing it. That I don't think that makes it through college. I think the work you have to do is so hard that you're going to be like, all right, mom, I'm quitting track. Like, it's all good. I think you need something a little stronger than that to make it through D1.
Definitely. What do you say to people that aspire to getting a college scholarship that are doing well in high school and have a background like you, as far as if they don't get a college scholarship, then they're probably not going to go to college. So what would you suggest to those sorts of young people?
Well, I mean, I took a risk. I bet on myself. And in life, you will have to do that to be successful. There's no success without risk. Can you get to college without taking that same risk? Sure. I don't know when your risk will happen. There will be risk in something you do if you're trying to accomplish something. But may not have to be as risky with your college decision. Honestly, I could have gone to some other schools. I could have gotten scholarships to other schools. Would I have run as fast? Would I have become an All-American as a freshman and Olympian as a sophomore? Olympian as a junior. What's our junior? 04. I don't know. I could have gotten a full scholarship to some school that was not as good, but maybe I would never have improved, and maybe I would have just quit track, and maybe I would have been doing IT right now. So, it's hard to say. I went to a place that I believed I would get good because I knew it was a good program, and I knew it would be extremely competitive, and that gamble worked. I know some other folks that it worked for as well. And so it's going to really, I think, be up to the individual. I had that goal for a long time to go to the Olympics. I knew I could get it going to this type of program. So that's why I took that risk. That's why my parents, my mom and my grandfather supported me in this risk. But
getting your foot in the door, and then you had to really show up. Yes.
What I could have done was gone to an Ivy League school. I had good grades. We had no money, so I could have gone to Cornell, Harvard, or Princeton. And because of my finances, I would have gotten a full financial aid package. So I wasn't really aware of that. I probably should have considered something like that, like scholarships to other D1 schools that maybe weren't as competitive as the SEC. So I would say look at all your options and don't necessarily take a crazy risk there unless you're willing to. Big risk, big reward, or that failure. I would have been out of school the next year, and then I would have been trying to figure out how to get back into school because I didn't have any money. So I wouldn't necessarily say take that risk unless you're willing to really do it and you have support. Other than that, I would say look at the many options that are available. There are 300 plus Division I. There's Division II. There's going to be some place if you do your homework and reach out to coaches and email them. There's going to be a place that wants you that you'll get some money for sure. If your grades, keep your grades up. Got to have your grades up. We're not even discussing that. Need to be 3.0 up. That's it. But there's going to be a place for you. There are a lot of schools, a lot of opportunities.
And just to break it up, let's get to know a little bit about you, the person beyond the coach and the runner and everything. Just do some little rapid fire questions. So,
oh Lord, here we go. Okay.
Yeah, let's do this. See if we can do this in 60 seconds. You're welcome to actually ask me these questions as well, but I think it's really cool to just get to know people on this level. So,
okay,
let's put my timer on, see if we can get through these in 30 seconds. Actually, let's do a 30-second challenge. Okay, let's do timer. Here we go. 30 seconds. Nothing's going to be, embarrassing. Just relax. Okay, so favorite color?
Black.
Favorite food?
I don't have one. I have a couple that.
Yeah, that's okay.
Pizza, definitely pizza. Caribbean food in general, oxtail, jerk chicken, curry goat. I love Caribbean food, so I'm going to say the whole class of Caribbean food is like one of my favorites, in addition to pizza.
Favorite music? Cool.
Reggae / dance hall, followed by hip hop, rap, and also next would probably be tie between R&B and soca, calypso.
Place that you would love to go but have never been yet?
Africa, the continent. I found out through 23andMe I'm like 78% Nigerian. So definitely need to go to Nigeria and some other places. I just haven't been to any competitions there. I've been like 40 countries, but not to the continent of Africa, which is just unfortunate. So yeah, that's coming up pretty soon.
And favorite?
And Australia. I haven't been to Australia either.
There you go. Come visit. Favorite movie?
I don't have a favorite movie.
Or one of your favorite movies.
Yeah, I'm funny with favorites because I like so many things, and I'm like, why pick one? Why can't I just like it all?
You can like several. What are some of the ones that you've?
But I'm a sci-fi kind of guy, so I love like Star Wars. I'm more of a Star Wars guy than Star Trek, but I do like Star Trek. But I'm all about Star Wars, and so those movies, all of them, I've watched all of them a million times. Movies like Terminator 2. After the Terminator 2, it doesn't matter anymore. But Terminator 1 and 2, Alien and Aliens for sure. I guess the first 3 Aliens I'm good with. And was there another movie? Aliens, Terminator. Oh, Predator 1 and 2. Anything after that is not canon to me, doesn't really exist. So I like The Hangover as well.
And what about, I think I probably know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So where is your favorite place to go to rest, rejuvenate, chill, relax?
Yeah, I'll get in a lot of trouble if I don't say St. Croix, but it probably really is St. Croix. Because I spend so much time in New York, and when I go home, it's like I get to eat all the good food. I get to like go to the beach and just enjoy being home. And it's always, the weather's always nice. It's always beautiful. It's really relaxing. And St. Croix is so slow anyway, so it's not a lot to do. So unless it's carnival time, but St. Croix, and number 2 would be pretty much any other place in the Caribbean, because it's the Caribbean. We have the best water and food and everything. So if you haven't been, I recommend visiting. You frozen?
Yeah. No, I'm good now, I think.
Are we frozen?
For a moment there, I lost your audio, but we're good.
Did it come through?
Can you hear
Did what I say? Can't come through?
I think,
okay.
And so it really is Saint Croix.
Yeah. Yeah, say how you say it with a French. Yeah.
Oh, am I not saying it correctly?
Saint Croix.
Oh, Saint Croix. Oh.
Uh-huh.
Oh. There you
like
go.
You said it with a French. It's probably pronounced that way with a French accent, because the OIX, Croix.
There's that's that schoolgirl French in me coming out. There you go. So, in closing, I want to ask you, is there anything that you would say to your little 6-year-old Adrian who had this vision? Is there anything that, looking back now, if you were his mentor, is there anything that you would say to him?
I mean, not really. It kind of worked out how it was supposed to work out. I wouldn't want to mess it up, go back and say something and then I do something totally different. No, I believe that everything that I've experienced, the good stuff and the bad stuff, because there've been plenty of bad things that I've experienced. I've been in lots of different situations. I've been, in my adult life, I've been homeless. I've been unemployed. I've experienced violence. And so there was a lot of growing pains. I didn't start, financially, I didn't start making any money till I was, after I was 32 years old, essentially. So it was a struggle. But every bump in the way made me stronger, made me smarter. I learned lessons from that helped me to kind of, it helped me to grow, but it helped me to endure, future obstacles that I would have to face. And all of those things lined up to putting me where I am right now. And I appreciate where I am right now. So what would I tell him? I don't know. I don't want to mess it up. I watch all those movies about time travel too. So I know if I say something, it'll throw them all. I don't want to create a different timeline. So I would just watch from afar and be like, there you go, little man. I see you.
Yeah, you got this.
Yeah, exactly.
So you are now starting to branch into spreading your message and your story and all that sort of thing and speaking. And you have a podcast as well. So if people, I put your website down below, because if people are interested in having you come and speak, what sorts of audiences do you like to speak to?
Really, for me, when I decided to really start trying to spread a certain message, I just thought if one person benefits from it, then I feel kind of fulfilled. Like I'm not doing it because of money or anything. I have a good job. So it's like, I just want to get this message out there because I see a lot of people. I'm in the sports world. So the message is common for me. I'm always talking to athletes and motivating them, and they benefit from it. They go out into the real world. They're very successful in the workforce. And that's what I'm seeing. So I'm like, I meet, let's say, non-track people, regular people, and they don't have a coach. They don't have someone to tell them it's okay. This is normal. It's going to be hard, but you'll get through it. And I started seeing this every day, how people were just getting beaten down by life. And I was like, man, they need a coach because they can make it through this stuff. I know for a fact that they can, but they're not getting they don't have a coach. And so I said, okay, I'm going to start getting this message out there for everyone, specifically for Black people, Black men who there's really there aren't a lot of resources for Black men, not a lot of positive messages. There's not a lot of positive portrayal in the media. There's not a lot of opportunity. And, you can find a path to success, but it's hard to believe that when all you see around you is just, hate and people condescending to you and society beating you down and telling you that, you're a criminal or you're not intelligent or whatever other stupid stuff they always saying about Black people. So for me, I'm like, nah, don't listen to that. Like I was broke just a couple of years ago and now I'm doing fairly well. And it's like, you can have a better situation, but there are a couple steps that you need to take. And so there are a couple things that I've identified that I'm trying to share with everyone. And there are a couple things that come out in every episode of my podcast. Every single one. I'm interviewing Olympic champions, world champions, and every single episode, they all say the same exact thing. And I'm hoping that if people follow that, they'll get the message that, it gets hard. All of them are debilitating injuries. You may never walk again. You may never run again. Your spine's going to explode. Your foot, whatever. I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, this is what happened to me. And I had to decide every single time I'm seeing where life gets really, really difficult at the point of where you want to give up. you come to a point where you have to decide, and the decision will be made. So you're either going to make it or it will be made for you, but you have to decide. And what I'm seeing is that the folks who reach a crazy level of success have made a decision to say, hey, I'm going to ABC. I'm going to win this gold medal. I'm going to break this world record. I'm going to get this job. I'm going to do it no matter what. Even the ones who are champions already, they're like, no, I want to get to a different level, and no matter what. And I noticed that once they've made that decision, then everything they do every day revolves around that decision. So I'm winning an Olympic gold. I'm waking up tomorrow morning. I got my pre-planned meals. I have everything laid out, my workout, my training, my physio. Like, I know what kind of content I'm putting into my mind. So I'm not dwelling on negativity. I know, like, the kind of energy I'm putting out there. I know how I'm building my relationship with my coach and my agent and my physiotherapist, and how I'm building my team so we can work. Everything I'm doing, everything in my life is pointing towards my goal of winning this ABC. And if you don't make that decision, you're not ever going to achieve that goal, because you're never going to make it past the hard stuff. The stuff when your doctor tells you you're never going to walk again, and you have to get back from that and still win an Olympic medal. That stuff happens, but you'll never get there if you don't make the decision. And so I'm trying to tell people, hey, look, everything's sucking around you. Yeah, life can get bad. I've been in some bad situations living in the hood. I'd have been, six stitches on my lip. I'd have been shot at. All kind of stuff that went down. Robbed at gunpoint here. All kind of crazy stuff people wouldn't expect from an Ivy League head coach, but they don't know my background. They just see what I present now. And I'm like, no, you can get somewhere. You have to decide first. That's the first thing I noticed in what I'm saying. The next thing is you have to be prepared to encounter failure. Like, you have to be prepared for it, because it's going to come. You're going to fail and it's going to hurt. But if you're not prepared to risk that failure, then you're not going to get the success. So understand that failure is just growth, is learning. When you lift weights to muscle failure, your muscles give out, you come back stronger the next week, right? That's how it works. Failure gets you stronger. So don't be afraid of it. That fear of failing is debilitating. People don't take chances because they're afraid to fail, not knowing that failure is what you need to get better. Yeah, so I keep seeing these. Yeah. So these are the common things that I'm seeing come out in the podcast. And these are the common messages that I want to start speaking about. I want to get on a stage. I want to get in front of a camera. I want to just keep telling people this, because I had someone come up to me and tell me that my words changed her life. And I was like, that's all I need to, that's the only reason I need to do this. I'm not doing it for money, like I said. So it's like that, it gives me a purpose. I have a purpose to do that. I know that my words can help someone make their life better. I can look myself in the mirror and wake up and sleep sound at night, knowing that I'm leaving the world a better place that I came into it. I can't tell you if I have the perfect religion or if I'm doing but I can tell you I'm going to do more good than bad at the end of the day, more positive than negative, and I'll be able to sleep at night. And hopefully, I've done my, hopefully God judges me like, hey, good job.
Adrian, you're amazing. And it's such a joy to have you on the show. And I just love everything you're sharing with us. And I hope people really take it on, whether they're an athlete, a performer, or somebody that's in an office aspiring to being the manager or the head of their team or whatever it might be. Pardon me. As we've said, these are life skills. And if they're looking for someone that, really that they need to kind of get them motivated, kick their butt, whatever, go to Adrian's website. He's coaching, I believe, and he's got this really cool podcast as well. I think correct me if I'm wrong, if you go to Adrian's website, you'll probably be able to find all of his social media links there. Facebook and LinkedIn and a lot on Instagram as well.
Yep. And the podcast is The Home Stretch with Adrian Durant. It's on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, all the major platforms. I think it's pretty cool. And I'm not selling snake oil. I'm not going to tell you it's all positive energy and meditation. You hit me up on adriandurant.com for a consultation. I'm gonna keep it real with you and tell you what is going on, and but that's I'm gonna tell you the truth. Yeah, so that's what you want. You don't want to be coddled because that doesn't get you anywhere. So I'm gonna be honest.
That is so awesome. And thank you for staying. Well, it's not that late, but it's certainly later than what we had planned. So thank you.
No worries.
It is awesome to finally do this. So thanks so much for
Yeah,
your
it's
time.
great connecting.
Okay. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thank you.
Oh, and I need to put this on. We're still here. So I can, are you there?
Yep.
Thank you. That was awesome. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I think we're still live.
Oh, end broadcast. I've already